Okay, everybody, two big pieces of news that I want to talk about that have flown completely under the radar. The first is that Tesla is starting to trial the Robotaxi network right outside of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is a very unique thing, and it says a lot. I really want to get into that. And the second is that some Tesla fans have smuggled a Cybertruck into a city in Europe with FSD V14, and the way that thing performed, not only is it mind-blowing, but it says a lot about what Tesla has done with their vehicle stack. As we're talking about that, I want to actually showcase that technology right here in my Cybertruck. Welcome to this camera angle. And I want to, as the truck does its thing, I want to talk about these things that are very important. So I'm going to put in my destination and you'll see this thing perform exactly how it should. I hope. We'll see. Navigate to the Oasis on Lake Travis. All right, and as it does that, there's our spot. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here so you all can see the screen. I'm going to hit this start self-driving button and it's going to get us there without me having to touch anything, in theory. Okay, so what I want to talk through here, the thing in Harrisburg I want to start with. For those that are not familiar, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania is a pretty small city. Back in its heyday, it used to be much bigger, but it's sort of in the central south part of the state. It's not this crazy city center like, Austin or San Francisco or New York. These places that you would typically think a self-driving car company would go into and try to get their technology out there. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania is subject to a lot of different weather, doesn't have that big of an economy. They literally get all seasons. But the fact that Tesla is already trying the self-driving stack, the Robotaxi stack, by getting these LiDAR vehicles out there, that's what that picture was that I showed at the beginning. These vehicles that are starting to map and get some ground truth data around the city. What it points to is that Tesla has the scale to get into markets that wouldn't necessarily be a good fit for the traditional self-driving auto company. So what do I mean by that? Companies like Waymo, which is a Google company, I'm sure you've seen pictures of Waymos. I'll try to get one on the screen here. There are these cars that have a lot of different sensors. They have LiDAR, they have radar, they have ultrasonics, they also have vision, and they have high definition maps. The cool thing that Waymo has figured out is that they figured out how to do a self-driving car officially. Like the self-driving car knows how to drive itself in these very specific locations. They have a huge part of the Bay Area, which they just grew into in California, but they also have parts of Austin. They are in parts of Arizona. I think they're in Nevada. I think they're in Florida as well. They're expanding into New York. They're trying to get into London. So they're getting into these different places. But what is the common thread about all these places? Oh, they're also in Los Angeles, I believe. What are the things about these cities, right? They're big. These are big places. In Florida, if they're going to launch, you're going to launch in places like Orlando or Miami, like multi-million person place. The reason why Waymo has to do that is because their limiting factor, shout out Jordan Gissigi, those who know, the limiting factor for Waymo is their scale. And their scale prevents them from being able to put their cars everywhere. So they have to be very strategic about where they launch their cars. And so what they do is they try to find these places where there's a lot of people packed into a small landmass. Meaning that if you're driving the Waymo around, the chance that you're going to get a ride is going to be high, the more people are in those cities. Typically, cities are also more affluent, so there's people out there that can pay for things. They can afford things. Some cities they can't, but there's still a good chance that you'll have people that are, wealthy or well-off or rich or whatever, or people that can afford to hail a self-driving car, or a Waymo specifically. Waymo charges a little extra than your typical Uber. In San Francisco, there was a study where Waymo would charge something like 30 cents more than Uber. And the reason why they do that is, number one, is because they can, because there's demand for that product. But the second, the bigger one, is that they don't have enough units out there to put that much supply into the economies that they're into to bring the price down. That's a supply-demand dynamic. The more supply you have, the prices come down. The less supply you have, your prices go up, especially if there is demand for that relatively few number of cars in those regions. And so The reason why they're in these big cities is because that is the only place they can go to where they can get enough rides so that their business doesn't lose too much money. Right now, Waymo's financials are not public, but the understanding is that it's a money-losing business. And the reason why is because these Waymo cars are hard to develop. They've spent a lot of years developing this technology. They just got it off the ground. But it also requires a lot of maintenance, a lot of teleoperation, and a lot of mapping, right? So there's just a lot of extra cost that goes into this technology, which is all well and good because this technology is actually making the roads safer. That's the whole thing about self-driving technology, is that ultimately it makes the roads safer. But what Waymo can't do is go into places like Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, at least for now, because of what I just walked through, because they're limited from a supply side and from an economic side. Because for them, it's like, okay, we have about 3,000 cars. That's how many Waymo cars they have right now, about 3,000 cars. And so when you have 3,000 cars, you have to figure out where to put those cars so that they're not just potentially losing money, even more than they could. So Waymo has to put them in markets where they for sure will get rides. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania is very low in that pecking order. And the reason why is because what I just went through. They don't have these thriving economies. Wonderful people. Harrisburg, PA. I used to live in Bethlehem for over 17 years. Bethlehem, right? Not Bethlehem. Bethlehem. You know, the locals say Bethlehem, okay? Just like it's not Lancaster, it's Lancaster. All right? Pennsylvanians will know what I'm talking about here. Here, the truck's trying to get on the right lane, but it doesn't. Oh, it's going to do it. Okay. All right. Great. Balls. Good for you, truck. Okay. Tangent aside. From an opportunity cost perspective, if Waymo goes to Harrisburg, they're giving up cities like your Londons. They're giving up Philly, right? They're giving up all these other city centers around the country. Dallas. They're giving up Houston, Denver, and down the list. Detroit, right? All these bigger cities that could benefit, that could make the company money because they know their customers are that they would have to give up in exchange for Harrisburg. So Tesla going into Harrisburg, what that means is multiple fold. Number one, they have the cars to be able to do that. They have the scale to be able to do that. Why else pick Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, right? Tesla's key competitive advantage is that this car right now that you see driving itself, this is a Cybertruck. It's on the latest version, V14. It's running on Mad Max right now. So Mad Max is the fastest version, but I don't think it's that fast, honestly. Maybe because I, grew up driving in the Northeast. This is like normal. Anyway, but that's the quote-unquote fastest setting. What it means is that it's trying to get me to my location as fast as possible, but safely. That's, at least we hope, that's what it's going to do. These vehicles, every single new vehicle that Tesla has been manufacturing for a minute now has the necessary hardware for the cars to drive themselves, just like this one is. And it does so using a camera system around the car. It has 8 cameras. It's got 3 up here. It's got 4 on each side, 2 on these B pillars that are facing sort of out, and then 2 on the repeater cameras that show up if I put the blinker on. So that's the left one, and I'm going to put the right one on if it lets me, and that's the right one, okay? And then it has 1 in the back, and actually another one in the bumper. So it has 9 cameras technically. These new hardwares. It has 9. And the bumper camera I can show you by putting the camera here. There's the bumper camera. Here are the repeater cameras, and that's the rear camera. And it has the pillar cameras and this one here. So what this does is it takes the data from these cameras, and Tesla has spent a lot of time for the last 7-8 years collecting data from every Tesla that has been on the road, from all these cameras. They've collected things that the car does well, the things that the car doesn't do well, and they've taken it and they've tossed it into an AI brain at their headquarters, Tesla's headquarters. And this AI brain is made up of a bunch of NVIDIA chips. I'm sure you're hearing everything about this AI boom and this AI bust, and the bubble is not a bubble. I'll save that for a different day. So if you want to hear my thoughts about that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. But what Tesla has done is that they've developed this AI brain, this supercomputer, like supercomputer, that is designed to take all these data from the cameras, dump it into that AI brain, and the AI brain has figured out how to drive. There hasn't been somebody sitting at a table saying, if traffic light as we're coming here, okay, it just turned yellow, right? If yellow, stop. Okay, so here it decided to do the same thing and stop at the yellow. I would have gone, okay? But here, the AI brain, thank you, Cybertruck, thank you, universe, for creating this moment for us. That yellow light The car learned how to behave like that by millions of examples that it collected from people's cars. Okay? There wasn't somebody sitting down and saying, if yellow light, stop. If red light, stop. Or if yellow light and kind of close, stop. If yellow light but really close, go. There isn't a human doing that. The AI brain decided to do that based on what it saw around it, just like a human would, intuitively. And so what that has allowed Tesla to do is to come up with a system where that knowledge they can just upload to their cars. And they can upload to the cars without having to give them any extra sensors. It just gets smarter at using these cameras. It upgrades its intelligence to figure out what to do in these situations. Okay? So the reason why that's such a big deal, it's because now Tesla has the ability to upload the software to all its vehicles. Every single vehicle that Tesla makes now will have this software upgrade that's going to allow them to basically drive anywhere. And what's super unique about where I'm driving right now, okay? I am right outside of Texas Metro. I am in Cedar Park, Leander sort of area-ish. Leander, actually. Leander is a suburb of Austin. It's like northwest Austin. Leander itself, I think, has like 40,000 people, okay? Leander is kind of like a smaller version of Harrisburg, okay? And as you can see, the car's driving itself. I haven't had to do anything. The car is driving itself in Leander, Texas. Nobody had to go through, Tesla didn't have to go through Leander with these like mapping cars like Waymo have to do to ensure that every road was mapped. All they had to do was pull out millions of examples from the road of Tesla vehicle owners that they've passed through the system, and it's still enough examples to be like, okay, if I can drive in Leander. Yeah, I can drive in Leander. I can drive in Georgetown. I can drive in Austin. I can drive in LA. I can drive in San Francisco, right? That is the competitive advantage that Tesla has figured out how to do. The car just knows how to drive. It doesn't need any extra help. It just knows how to drive. Like here, it's picking the middle spot middle lane instead of the right lane. Why? Because I said, go Mad Max. Get me there as fast as possible. Okay, cool. So the middle lane's gonna be faster than the right lane. All right, let me get into the middle lane, right? It's just like a human would think about the solutions. That's how the car would think about these solutions. I mean, this is freaking hot today, man. Let me get these full seats on. Perfect. It's 78, but it feels like it's 100. It's probably I'm like getting heated up just talking about this. I don't know why. Who knows? Anyway, so that's a huge deal. And that's why now Tesla has a software capability to upload this software into millions of vehicles that they can dump into, potentially, a part of those in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Why is that? They're building so many freaking cars that for them, dumping it in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania doesn't mean drawing the car out of somewhere else that could benefit from having that car there instead. Tesla doesn't have to go through the equations like, well, if we put one in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, we won't be able to put one in Detroit. Or we won't be able to put one in Miami, or Philadelphia, or Boston, or Denver, or Nashville, or Memphis, right? Or whatever, Seattle, Portland, Toronto. It doesn't matter. They make 2 million cars per year. They're gonna make 2.7 next year, and upwards of 3-4 million the following year, up to 5 million in 2028. Scale is not a problem. There is 1 million active Uber drivers in the United States doing ride hailing, active, 1 million active. Just doing rides all the time, okay? Tesla makes that many cars in half a year. They are not limited by supply. This is a huge deal. So they can get into Harrisburg, okay? And similarly speaking, now, that same car that goes to Harrisburg, they could pick up, and now with a Cybertruck, they just dump it into a random city in Europe. I think it's Prague. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong there. I'll have to look. I think it was Prague. But there's a video from, I believe the account name is Robotaxi IRL. They just smuggle the freaking Cybertruck with V14 into Prague, and they just put the self-driving on, and it just drives around Prague. It just drives around, different signage, different traffic laws. There are some quirks here. He thinks one specific sign is a stop sign. It's not really a stop sign. But of course, Tesla hasn't gone through the work to be like, hey, these signs in this country are not stop signs, they're something else. They didn't even have to do that, right? They just dump the Cybertruck into that city and the car just drives around. Why? Because it knows how to drive. It just knows how, it understands what it needs to go straight, backwards, leftwards, and right, left and right, without having a human typing in do this specifically. From a scale perspective, like, it just blows my mind that this is like not the most groundbreaking thing of all time. I saw a post from Musk Kettle on X where there was a poll, I think on TechCrunch or something, that a huge majority of people didn't think Tesla would be able to not only hit the goals for Elon Musk comp package, but have robotaxis at scale. And I'm looking at them testing this stuff in Harrisburg, and I'm looking at them doing this random Cybertruck in Prague or wherever the city was, and I'm like, there's such a huge knowledge gap. There's so much alpha. Like, alpha is like a way of saying like a difference between what you can gain and what you have. It's sort of like, this is such a dumb explanation for from an investing perspective. But there is a knowledge gap that Tesla owners have, that Tesla investors have, that Tesla fans have, and what the broader population has, which is that these vehicles drive themselves. These vehicles, I haven't had to touch the steering wheel and pedal. These vehicles drive themselves. We were in the city, we got out of a parking lot, we are on the highway, we're taking an off-ramp. Have you seen me do anything with the car? No. You haven't, okay? It's very hard to convey this to a person unless that person goes and tests the cars themselves. I've been a Tesla investor since 2012. I worked at the company from 2017 to 2021. I've been following this company probably obsessively, to my detriment. I just can't help it. Why? Because of exactly what's going on right now. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. Okay? So, what this probably means is that Tesla is going to be able to get millions of vehicles, not just in the United States, but globally, that can drive themselves with a software upgrade, with just a change to the system here. You know, let's say this system needs a little bit more safety data. It needs a little bit more knowledge, right? It's like, okay, there's these specific situations that it's not handling as well as it should. Okay, guess what? Take those situations, either find them in the real world, either mine them from all these, customer cars driving all over the place, or use a simulated environment and have the system repeat itself over and over again to learn how to do it properly, then dump it into the AI brain for the AI brain to figure out how to do it actually for real in the car, and then put it in the car, test it around with your fleet of own cars, right? Like Tesla has testers that can drive around and whatever. And then those people will go around and validate it, and then you start phasing it out to the customers like they have been forever. And then the first sort of group gets the software. They're like, not there yet. And then they upgrade. They get better and better and better. Tesla has been doing this for years, you guys, for years. And the fruit of that work has manifested itself, and not just the Cybertruck driving itself all over the place, as you have seen, but it's also going to manifest itself in Robotaxi being able to go to places like Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and completely transform the local economy there. Why is this such a big deal? Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and places like it are one of those places in the United States that are not city centers that have suffered greatly from the last 30 to 40 years of economic policy from the United States. I don't want to make this political whatsoever. I'm not going to say this is a Republican fault, this is a Democrat fault. It's not. This is the downfall. This is like the weakness of globalization. It's the weakness of saying, you know what, China, you do it. You know what, Mexico, you do it. You know what, you guys can do stuff better, you do it. What does that mean? You are naturally drawing away opportunity from places that are perhaps not the best places. Maybe, like, for example, Harrisburg has a bunch of different weather. That's one thing I forgot to mention earlier. They get a lot of snow. They also get shit summers, okay? Super humid. Again, I lived in Pennsylvania. They get every season, and the worst ones stick around way longer than they should, okay? I feel like we got 2 weeks of good weather in Pennsylvania a week, and that's it. But they also get a lot of rain. And like I said, they get a lot of snow. They get a lot of ice. This is great testing data for Robotaxi, right? So when it snows, the service doesn't stop. It keeps running, just like a human would, just like a human knows how to drive around, right? So from that perspective, it's good too. But what does that do? That naturally keeps the number of people that would be in that area lower. Why? Because people don't want to deal with that shit. That's one of the reasons why we moved to Texas. I was sick and tired of the snow. I hate it. I hate driving in it. I hate walking in it. I hate experiencing just sub 30-degree weather for 3 months. It feels like, or like the whole year sometimes. It just sucks. Okay, cold weather climate people, love you guys. Y'all enjoy. But you know what's going to happen now? Now that you're going to remove one of those variables, which is driving, out of those, oh, this guy's doing a U-turn. Look at the car. The car read that perfectly and it stopped. It was going to make a right and it stopped. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Those areas are not going to get a huge economic boom because of these systems. These self-driving cars now that are driving anywhere potentially because of this technology, what's the huge benefit of not having a driver? The cost of operation is going to be significantly lower than anything else in the market. It will be cheaper than owning your own car in a lot of different places. And as the technology gets better, and as Tesla comes out with their purpose-built autonomous vehicle, the Cybercab, the cost per mile is going to be so low that it would make no economic sense to own your own car under any circumstances, outside of like some corner cases or exceptions. You have a family of 10, okay? You don't have that many options around you. Maybe Robotaxi is not there anymore. Maybe Robotaxi is there, but it's just like you'd rather be in control, okay? The cost of these Robotaxis is going to be sub 50 cents per mile, 40 cents per mile, 30 cents per mile. The average cost to own your own vehicle in the United States is about 70 to 80 cents per mile for a new car. Used cars closer to 50 cents. Sometimes, I mean, if you want to drive like a super beater, could probably be even lower than that. But you still got to deal with maintenance. You got to deal with tires. You got to deal with gas. You got to deal with all this stuff, right? Insurance and whatnot. At some point, all that stuff becomes extra cost that you don't have to bear, especially in these like colder climate or like cities that perhaps don't have as much, right? And now you have these transportation systems that will come in and will remove the friction from a lot of these economies by getting people to go from point A to point B with much cheaper than they otherwise would have. Owning a car for a lot of people is not just like I have to get on the road and drive around. It's cost a lot, man. A lot of people can't afford to have a new car and pay for gas and pay for maintenance. Just look at the state of the country in a lot of different places. There's an affordability crisis for a lot of people. And transportation is one of those variables. It's usually housing, healthcare, and then transportation. That's usually the pecking order. Housing, or sometimes healthcare, housing, and then transportation. And maybe some people have transportation is fourth or fifth or whatever. Having something like that in those areas is going to open up the economic engine for those areas by removing one of the friction points for people to get out of their house in the first place. So if more people are going to be willing to get out of their house, what does that mean? Shops are going to see more people. Events are going to be more popular. Sporting events are going to be more popular. Festivals are going to be more popular. New concepts where people go outside and do things together, they'll start to spring up, right? It's like, well, this type of business didn't make too much sense because, you know, it requires people to leave their house, and like if they're already going to the grocery store and stuff and then doing all this stuff, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to drive here. Like, why would people come here? Well, guess what? If people don't have to drive anymore, and the cost to get there is very low, especially if you're carpooling with other people and you're splitting the fare, okay? And you don't have to worry about the maintenance and stuff for that vehicle. All of a sudden, those people can just hop in the thing. Maybe you can even offer a special on Tesla's Robotaxi app or whatever, and then that special can draw you to that business and get you out of your house. That is transformational for those economies. And so now the snow or whatever, the cold weather being a thing that would like tempt people over the edge to move to those areas, well, guess what? Now that you solve for moving around for really low cost in those areas, all of a sudden it might draw people to your area, because guess what? Those areas, the cost of living is probably going to be a lot less than most places. And so all of a sudden, if Harrisburg, PA gets Robotaxi, people are going to be like doing the equation like, hold on a second. Why would I live in a different place where I don't have to drive and it's much more expensive, when I can go to Harrisburg and say I work from home or whatever to start, I could just go live in Harrisburg. I still don't have to drive. And guess what? They're going to have a booming economy. So maybe I can get in a little early. Maybe I can invest in real estate a little early. Maybe I can start a business in Harrisburg that I perhaps wouldn't have started where I currently live because it's too expensive. Right? But the engine starts to move. The economic engine starts to move. This is the most underappreciated story happening right now in the United States. It's this technology that I'm in right now transforming the economic engine of the United States. And I don't care if Tesla does it. I don't care if Waymo does it. It doesn't matter. From my perspective, Tesla is going to do it very obviously well before anybody else. And they're going to have a massive competitive advantage. But I don't even care about that. The bigger thing I care about is making this country better for most people. And one of the things you make it better for most people is by lowering the friction for people to be able to get outside of their house and maybe go to work or go enjoy themselves and help local businesses so that we can have a booming economy in these places again. This is the most underrated part of this technology, and I've been talking about it for a long time on this channel. And I really hope that you seeing me talk about this, number one, but also seeing it with your own two eyes of this car just driving itself all over the place, it really drives home that point. Because this is a very big deal. Okay. That was a rant. I hope you enjoyed it. What I'm going to do for the rest of the drive is I'm going to let the car go to its location. I'm going to speed it up for y'all and put some nice music just so you can see the rest of the drive. And so if you want to stick around for that, feel free to do so. And if you want to watch more content from me, subscribe. If you want to become a member in my special community, exclusive community, whatever you want to call it. We talk about this all the time. I have a exclusive Q&A with my folks that we do all the time. So go to farzad.fm to sign up, or you can also become a member to this YouTube channel where you'll also get exclusive content for $3 a month. And you'll also get a 30% off code to join that membership on the website. However, there's more limits to the YouTube stuff because I can't do as much stuff on here than I can on my website. But we're going to give you a code just in case you do want to join us on the website as well. So enjoy the rest of the drive, and we'll see you on the next one. Mwah. Love you. All right, folks, I had to drop me off at the curbside. So as you can see, we're at the curbside of the Oasis. What a wonderful place for those that are visiting Austin. Really cool restaurant, shops and stuff. And then they have like stuff on the 3rd floor, like a really cool bar and good food. And you can oversee the lake. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm gonna do a drive back to a coffee shop in Leander, sort of Liberty Hill area. And I'm actually going to do that video for my exclusive members. So if you want to see that video, go ahead and become a member on YouTube and I'll have that for y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. Bye.